Hey guys, so tuning in, it's the customer event. I'm joined today by Gerrit Deneyer from Business Decision. I'm Nick Pegram from LogMeIn. I'm a director of Bold360. We thought we'd take some time out just to check in and talk about some of the subjects and the interesting points from this morning's session. I think it's been great to see Simon Johnson from RBS talking about the My Knowledge project and how their chatbot Ella is helping to drive a huge amount of empowerment for their employees, learning from customer insights and building out their new UX, which has been, I think, quite transformative for the bank. Mm-hmm. Keen to get some insights from you, Gerrit. What have been most notable for you this morning?
Okay, so it was great hearing him talking as well, and there's a lot of similarities we see. One of my customers, Belfius Bank, and insurance, and then we're actually talking to the insurance branch, so I can give you some insight on that. They try to automate their services well internally and how they support their branch offices, and it seems that female bot names are very loved. Our chatbot at Belfius Insurance is called Eva. So
right, Eva, so Ella.
Eva. So it's going to be interesting to do that. So the challenge we were facing, at Belfius before we implement this new platform, is the incrementing number of contracts they need to close. So basically augmenting the top line, but with a flat staff rate. So it's not about getting rid of people, laying off people. It's all about change management, how make them smarter, how to make them work smarter, and how we can support them by new technologies, new tools like AI in that process.
There was a big theme actually about this fear that AI is going to kind of take over people's mm-hmm. jobs, and everybody's going to be just relying on algorithms to in the working world, and nobody's going to end up with any jobs. I think I underestimated how much of a bigger theme that was. Mm-hmm. But what we really saw from, I think, SAP and some of the use cases that were discussed today is that actually it's more of an enablement. So if AI is able to drive a lot of those common, frequent interactions, either for the customer or for employees, then a lot more of those complex sort of human-assisted kind of queries can be managed by agents and employees. Can you talk to that for us?
Sure. When this project starts, typically you have the people being afraid of losing their jobs, but as soon as they see what the product brings onto their job, what the added value is of that, they embrace it and they move on with that.
Yeah.
And we've seen from being resistant and not wanting to work with it, to embracing it and actually being a full 200% support of the product, both from the internal agents that manage the knowledge and have to drive content to the technology, as from the users in the branches. As initially they said, well, it's a bot, it will not understand me, but we now see there's a high adoption and very recurrent users coming back asking more and more questions, where initially they were a little bit challenging in how they should use questions. A lot of keywords questions were being asked, where now they go into conversational mode. They know they have to ask a full English, or in my environment, Dutch or French question, where they then get a normal answer that a bot cannot answer to something like insurance, car.
Yeah.
That's not a question. That's a keyword search on Google or any other search engine. Mm-hmm. What they need to is, how can I insure my car with my contract? That would be a good question, and then that's a typical recurrent question because that comes in 10 times a day. So the knowledge workers in the back office now, where initially they were saying, am I going to lose my job? But the question they now get is, how much can we import new products in this tool so I can be more smart in doing my job and spend time in getting real answers to difficult questions instead of repetitive, relatively easy questions about car insurance or other type of insurance products.
Another great question that came from the audience was, how do you get buy-in from the exec in terms of a budget for AI, because it's this kind of big thing and how much value is really attributed to it. So we had some workshop sessions this afternoon, mm-hmm. which were very much about building those business cases, really driving that value. And it was great to see that, a product like Bold360 from the voices perspective that gives real-time insights mm-hmm. around customers and employees, what they're saying at scale, really drive and show those insights to the exec and the leadership team. Putting that into some sort of business case to get approval for it is not always very easy, but I think we had some really good cemented, solid cases that were talked about today.
That's the same. The case we were having at Belfius is how can we, as I said a couple of minutes ago, how can we support more contracts with the same staff?
Yeah.
So there is an increasing gap between the number of work you can do with the people you have. And that was the business case, and that's tremendously. We've seen a drop up to 50% of incoming calls in the calls office on those repetitive questions.
Great.
So 50% on the staff they're having, that's a tremendous number, where they can now do more intelligent jobs and they can spend more time in servicing better instead of just doing treadmill things.
Yeah.
So that's from the CEO level or the C-level executives, they're actually getting the buy-in, and they're pushing forward now for other divisions and other entities to embrace the technology and also roll it out into that environment. We started with one product with one type of insurance, the car insurance, because there were the most questions, more recurrent questions. At this point, we have, I think 8 products rolled out at Belfius Insurance, and there's like 4 or 5 more on the road to roll out in both retail, customer facing, and banking.
Yeah, which is amazing. We had a lot of questions about how do I get started. Mm-hmm. So one of the demonstrations that we had was about search to conversational bot. Mm-hmm. And I think the overwhelming advice from everybody was that if you can deploy, you don't have to deploy at scale, so you can just start on 5 or 6 use cases. Mm-hmm. You can start with some AI type search capability even on a website, but then that transcends pretty quickly to building out a conversational bot experience where you're able to connect to other more relevant providers or repositories that really give that meaningful user experience. Are you finding the same?
We actually skipped the search part.
Okay, you were straight into conversational bots.
So that was easier for us to sell internally, I guess. The search was very close to what they already had. They had a knowledge KDB, it's called knowledge database, which had some kind of search algorithm. It wasn't NLP driven or AI driven, but there was some smart search technology behind it.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to compete with that part, so we just said, drop that, and we want to have instead of search, just have a conversation. Yeah. And then use that. It also, certainly in insurance, I'm sure with other businesses as well, if you have a question, there's a lot of ambiguity in that question sometimes. Right. So, if someone asking, can I insure a car, then, there's some follow-up questions like, what's the situation? Yeah. So, and that's something you cannot answer in a straight search, otherwise you have a very long article. And the goal was to serve the customer as quickly as possible. So, to narrow down the question, so the answer could be very precise and very detailed just on that one topic.
Yeah,
that's the way we started.
That's a really good point. So we also heard a lot of questions about how do you get your customers to adopt. Mm-hmm. So the user experience and the user design is really important. So if you've got a number of different touch points, either through an app or messaging or via a website, how do you ensure that customers are engaging through those different touch points and in a meaningful way? And a lot of them want different user experiences, but as long as it's based upon them finding the information. So what's next? What do you see as the new channels that are being adopted and the expectation from customers? So
first of all, we gave Eva, we gave her a persona. So during the workshops when we do this intake, so we define tone and voice of the customer, tone and voice of the bot, how to respond to this formal, informal, age, gender of the bot. So we actually literally give them a persona. So when we respond in the conversation, people know they are talking with a bot, but it's always consistent in how it's being answered. The way we structure these questions and answers is, I want to get, like in a WhatsApp, if I text you something, I don't want to get a full history, I just want to get the response to my question. So we take that question and respond as easy as possible. And then we say, oh, by the way, and if you have more information, just link to this page or this knowledge base or to more details where you get a technical description. So I guess what that means is the chatbot really has a channel as it is. And then if you have more information needs, then you go to more traditional type of information that's already there for more detailed shorts, more technical search. The other thing we turned in there is, for instance, in one of the applications we provided a commercial answer and a technical answer. Right. So if it's an external agent asking the question, you get the commercial answer. If it's an internal agent, you get the technical answer.
Interesting.
So we try to separate those channels to make sure that from the user perspective, you always have the same type of environment, but using the same knowledge, you can actually share it through this different channel. Yeah. Certainly with the live chat that we are onboarding now, we've done it later in the project. The live agents now have access to the technical material while the end user, or in this agent, the agents from the branches, they get the commercial version of the answer.
Right. So Gerrit, I agree with you. I think customers are always going to go for the least line of resistance, but as long as it's meaningful and they get that more richer experience, then you're going to service them and you're going to increase the value based upon those kind of interactions that are taking place.
Absolutely.
So listen, thanks for your time. I hope you find this afternoon equally as
Thanks
valuable.
for having me.
No, you're welcome. And thanks everybody, over and out.